Hello and welcome to the new Knockhill International Circuit in iRacing. I'm Peter Butcher, you're watching Sim Broadcast, and this is the Spec Racer Scottish Open, organised by Yuan Shi Lin. I'm joined in the commentary box by Andy Alston. Andy, how's it going? Knockhill in iRacing.
Oh, it's great to be here, Peter, for the Spec Racer Scottish Open, and where else but Knockhill, the newest track in iRacing and one that always produces great action. And with 3 races in store tonight with drivers from across the world taking part, I'm sure that there's going to be lots of drama at this event.
Yeah, we've got 8 minutes of qualifying, which is underway right now. We'll bring you pictures of that at the 9-turn Knockhill International Circuit, 2 kilometres, 1.3 miles. It's going to be fabulous. We've got a 12-lap race coming up, then another 12-lap race, and then a 15-lap race to end it at around about 10 o'clock. All of our races this evening have a rolling start. So let's hit the track, Andy, and see what's going on the track. The drivers are just about to set their first time laps.
And here we are then, Chris Locker having a little bit of a moment there, just coming out of the McIntyre section and into Butcher. So he's unfortunately hit the wall. That's going to seriously compromise his event, because you have 8 minutes or 5 laps to set a time on the board. Chris is a very fast driver, of course, but he's now got it all to do with 2 and a bit minutes already up on the board. Another man worth keeping an eye on here is this man here, Jack Eyre, car number 13, racing for the Rethink Racing team. Jack is one driver who went from virtual to reality this year, and he made his real-world debut at this very circuit at Knockhill when he was competing in the SMRC's Scottish C1 Cup. So Jack's a very quick driver in the sim, and he is doing just the same in the real world. So Jack here, currently top of the timesheets with a 54.0. That is 1 and a bit tenths quicker than this man here, Yuan Shi Lin. He is, of course, the organiser for this event, and very, very quick in the Spec Racer Ford as well. Third place man, Fraser Smith. Look at that, the times here, Peter. A couple of tenths of a second splitting the top 5 already. And we've got a new driver at the top of the timesheets as well.
Yeah, Harley Horton there setting a 53.9. The first driver to dip into those times. Fraser Smith, we're watching now, exiting the Taylor's hairpin and firing it down to start-finish. Let's see what he can set on this lap. See if he improves as he comes across the start-finish line. It is not an improvement. Oh, and Michael Weddle there, a Knockhill regular, going up into P3, Andy.
Yeah, Michael Weddle is another driver worth keeping an eye on here. He is, again, a regular around this circuit, competes in the real world in the SMRC's Mini Cooper Cup, and Michael did indeed win that championship very recently as well. So if there's one driver that knows this track more than most, it is car number 7 here. So Michael Weddle, currently third at the moment, 1/10 off fastest lap out there. So it's very, very quick times already up there on the board. And I think what that does do for us, Peter, is sets the stage for some great action here tonight.
Yeah, we've got 19 cars qualified, but we've got a lot more than that on the server right now. So we're expecting a few more times to be set. 24 cars, we're hearing, are on the circuit. As Fraser Smith goes up there, 53.8 with the fastest time. We're watching Simon Mayer. He's coming out of the final hairpin and up to start-finish. Let's see where he can put his car. P7 at the moment, and it's an improvement. P4 for him.
Yeah, very good time there. Fraser Smith top with 53.8, but look at that, there's under a 1/10 of a second between the top 4 drivers. The pace that these drivers are putting in is absolutely phenomenal. This is another driver worth watching. Aero Norm, very, very quick in the Spec Racer 4 community. Let's see if he can put that car on provisional pole position. Doesn't quite manage to do it this time, but he is under a 1/10 of a second from the front row of the grid. Peter, the pace coming in is absolutely phenomenal. Most drivers are now about to set their final lap here as well, so the drama really is building with not long to go in this session.
Yeah, it's a short track, but you still have to be on the absolute limit to set a quick lap round here, and the times at the top are so close. Here comes Jorg Mani up to the line, and it's an improvement for him.
Yeah, good time on the board there for Jorg. That is just 0.6 of a second off the pole position time at the moment. Fraser Smith still leading the way there. He is in pit lane, so he won't improve on that lap. Ronald Grossman just going in P2 with a fabulous time there, and he's been leapfrogged once more because we've got Harley Houghton back on the front row of the grid there with a 53.7, 1/10 of a second clear of Fraser Smith. Aero Nom putting that car on the second row of the grid as things stand. Michael Weddle now just making his way around Taylor's hairpin. This will be for the final time. Let's see if he can improve on his sixth place standing at the moment as he makes his way across the start-finish line. Now, let's see if Weddle can improve, and he is not able to do so on that occasion. So Michael Weddle will start this race from at least sixth place in the grid. Here is our organiser, Yuan Shi Lin, just making his way over the chicane. Now, a very, very tricky part of this track. It's easy for the car to be dragged out wide on exit and into the gravel, but he keeps that car nice and steady and makes his way through Clark Corner there, taking the speed with him down the straight here. And Peter, this part coming up here, the Taylor's hairpin, it's all about getting your braking absolutely done to perfection.
Absolutely is. You'll know that from actually driving around this track. I've not driven around it myself. I've been in a car around here, but not driven myself. Here comes Yuan Shi Lin up to the line, and will he improve? He does not, but it's a good time. He's in the top 10, and that's a good starting position for race one.
Yeah, absolutely is. 30 seconds to go in this session. A couple of drivers still out there looking to put a time on the board, and let's see. In fact, Chris Locker, one driver we mentioned a little bit earlier, he will be starting from 12th after having a little bit of a moment earlier on. Paul Jackson currently out there on 21st place. We've got one driver who just hasn't set a time. That is Flavio Andolo. He will start this race from the back of the grid. And 5 seconds left to go in this session, so it looks like Paul's not going to have enough time, unfortunately, to improve on his lap, and he will start this race from 21st on the grid.
Absolutely. Well, what a session. We are going to get straight into the action here. There'll be some gridding happening, and then we'll have a rolling start for the first of 3 races. First, we have 12 laps around the Knockhill track, which, Andy, they've done a superb job of modelling in iRacing. We've both been to the track many, many times. But yeah, it's great to see it in the sim, and great for us to be watching it tonight, 2 days after release.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a terrific job by the team at iRacing to bring this track to life on the platform. It's very, very accurate as well, I have to say. When this was first announced a long time ago now, and there was so much excitement around it. It's such a fun track to drive in the real world and in the sim. And we've got some great drivers out there who are going to put on a real show for us here tonight.
Yeah, it's Harley Houghton who lines up on the front row of the grid alongside Fraser Smith in P2. Aero Nom, who is, he topped the timesheets in practice yesterday. He's on P3. Ronald Grossman in P4. Simon Mayer, Michael Weddle, Jack Hare, Vandermelen, and Yuan Shi Lin and Bobby West running out the top 10. Mark Heron and Chris Locker on the last row of the top 12.
That's Ian Haycock starting in 13th alongside Ryan Smith. Jörg Manny in 15th alongside John Payne. Ian Gibson starts this one from 17th alongside Alan McCain. Owen Ross is in 19th with Tom Jones in 20th. Now it's Paul Jackson, Sean Dobie, Cameron Ritchie and Flavio Andolo will start this race from 24th on the grid.
Yeah, and last, that is all of our drivers. And as you see in the background, they're making their way around to the grid for our rolling start. We will have 5 green lights on the screen as the drivers exit the Taylor's hairpin and thunder down towards Duffer's Dip. Andy, this is going to be, this is going to go one of 2 ways. This is the first time these drivers have all driven this track in anger in a race, no doubt.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very, very good car to be driving here as well. You'll notice a lot of the drivers there in the pack just weaving left to right, trying to get as much heat as possible, not into just the tyres, but the brakes as well. This is a car that has to be driven with respect. It's very, very easy for the rear of the car to lock up and get away from the drivers. So lots of them there just trying to get as much heat as possible into the car before the lights go out for race number 1.
Yeah, so Harley Houghton with everything to do. He is the first pole sitter in this event, the Spec Racer Scottish Open, as they come around the final corner. It's great to see so many drivers entering this event. Here we go. Let's wait for the green lights. The safety car is in the pit lane, and the drivers side by side as they run. Green lights, and cars in the background moving around, but Everyone up front, very steady, Andy, as they head towards Duffer Stiff for the first time. Movement in the background too.
Yes, Fraser Smith side by side with Harley Houghton going into Duffy's Dips for the first time, but it looks like Houghton has managed to hold on to the position there. We've got a couple of cars going off there at Duffy's Diff. Let's hope they won't be collected as they make their way into McIntyre's for the first time of asking. But it's Houghton still leading the way from Fraser Smith. Aeronom in third place at the minute. But there's been drama at the chicane. A couple of cars coming together. And let's take a look at the replay and find out what happened, Peter.
Yeah, it looks like Mark Heron's had a disaster coming out of McIntyre's. Let's have a look. Oh, it takes too much curb and spins the car. That's easily done.
Yes, indeed, he goes tumbling down the order, unfortunately. Started this one in 11th already, down to 22nd place, so he's got it all to do. Meanwhile, back at the front, though, it's a bit of a gap emerging between the cars at the front. We've got one that's a red car's just going darting off to the right-hand side there as well. So, number of drivers with side-by-side action, to put it mildly, going into the first lap. They go into Duffus for the second time of asking, side-by-side, and then off goes the 89 car. That is Bobby West. He's got it all wrong there on the exit of Duffus Diff, and he goes tumbling down the order. Back at the front, though, it's Harley Houghton still leading this one from Fraser Smith. Further drama behind. It looks like Ronald Grossman has got it all wrong coming out of McIntyre's, and lots of drivers involved in incidents in the first couple of laps in this race, Peter.
Yeah, and it does look like Fraser Smith is taking over the lead down the railway straight. And as we head into the hairpin, Harley Houghton's going to have to try and tuck into the slipstream. And we're going to see how effective the slipstream is here at Knockhill. Jack Hare also tumbling down the order. He's off at the hairpin. So one of the favourites going into this race, and more drama in the background. That's Ronald Grossman tapping the back of, couldn't quite catch who that was, but yes, having some moments as well. Fraser Smith.
I think Ronald Grossman might have a little bit of damage there, just going off how tail happy that car was at the exit of Taylor's hairpin. So he's one that we'll keep a little bit of an eye on here. Back at the front, though, 0.3 of a second is the gap, with Fraser Smith there leading the way in the 67 car. Just further behind, we've got side-by-side action coming out of the exit of the chicane there. That's the 24 of Tom Jones. And outside, there's massive contact in front and further contact behind as well. This has been a dramatic start to this race. It looks like Simon Mayer's out there. Tim Vandermelen also down there. Also, it has just been all sorts of drama in the first few laps in this race. And all the meanwhile, there's been some real big winners coming out of this as well. Lots of cars moving up the order. But let's take a look at the replay and find out what happened, Peter. Look at that big smash there. Michael Weddle involved in the initial contact, but then just keeping the car out of the way and back to facing up the hill and towards Clark's. But lots of coming together in the first few laps in this race, and it's hard to believe we're already a third of the way through. Yeah,
it looks like Simon Mayer was involved in that incident with Michael Weddle. Not sure who caused it, but anyway, it caused a big stramash, as they like to call it in the north. Fraser Smith and Harley Houghton both together.
Yeah,
very close.
Just 0.3 of a second, still the gap between Houghton and our race leader. So Houghton just quite content to sit in the slipstream at the moment, I suspect. Let's take a look from the rear of Fraser Smith's car. The 67 got a nice clean exit out of Taylor's hairpin as well. He's just increasing that gap ever so slightly to 0.4 of a second. But Aeronom also looking to get involved in the mix. But look at this, Peter. We've got side-by-side action coming up the start-finish straight here. Yuan Shi Lin in the car number 30 is side-by-side with a number of drivers round about him here as well. 2 into 1 into Duffus. Surely does not go. And it looks like they're still, again, look at that. They're not giving up yet into McIntyre's. Great action here at Knockhill. But John Payne into 6th place in this race. The yellow car, they are just making his way at the top of the chicane. Wan Shi Lin coming under a little bit of pressure there from Jack Hare. The number 13 car almost going side by side into Clark's. In fact, he does and throws that car up the inside. Contact between the pair of them and the exit. Wan Shi Lin goes off the track and manages to thankfully get the car back onto the straight there, but he has gone tumbling down the order and into 10th place. Back at the front though, Peter, it looks like we could have a change for the lead, because the gap at the front is now down to 0.2 of a second, but Fraser Smith still leading the way at the moment.
Yeah, Harley can't find a way past. He needs to get an absolutely super exit out of the hairpin. Fraser's gone a bit deep there. He's gone onto the gravel. Not really much of an opportunity to go through here unless your competitor has, dropped it big time. So yeah, he actually lost time there, Harley, following Fraser through the chicane.
Yeah, not much Harley can do there other than be patient. If he gets if Harley gets a good exit, you can potentially look at throwing the car up the inside at Clark's, as Jack Eyre did a lap ago. But Harley just staying patient at the moment, putting the pressure on Fraser Smith here. And there is that man there, Jack Eyre, we mentioned a moment ago, currently in 7th. He's got Ian Haycox and John Payne just up the road from him. Will Jack Eyre throw the car up the inside into Taylor's? He's almost side by side there, and indeed he does decide to make it still. Let's see if he can make the move on the 35 car. Doesn't quite manage to pull it off this time round, but there's been great action throughout the field here. Ronald Grossman, again, worth giving a shout out to after a little bit of drama earlier on in this race, back up to 8th place and very much in contention here with this scrap as well. We've got the 22 car of John Payne, the yellow car, just looking to put pressure on the 24 of Tom Jones in front, who's had a storming start to this race. Started this one in 20th place, and Tom Jones finds himself running in P4.
Yeah, these two at the front cannot be too patient. You know, Harley really needs to get a wriggle on, because look at Aeronom. He's managed to bring the gap down on this lap almost half a second. He's really clawing in, and there's going to be a three-way fight for the lead, no doubt, before the end. We head on to lap 9 of this race, or lap 8, and we have some action further back by the looks of it.
Yeah, side-by-side action there with the recovering Michael Weddle looking to make a move on Owen Ross. Both of these drivers know each other very well from competing in the SMRC Esports Championship. Michael Weddle just darting back over to the side of the road there. Owen Ross has been overtaken, but looking to get as much slipstream as possible. Doesn't decide to make a move into Duffy's Dip, so Weddle holds on to P12. Further ahead though, Jack Eyre up into 4th place. He's made a move on his
he's made a lot of moves.
Racing teammate Tom Jones. That's a really good bit of driving there from Jack Eyre. Further back though, Ronald Grossman also looking to make moves there. Car number 90 coming out of Clark Corner, and he's got a couple of cars here, Wan Shi Lin and Mark Herring looking to get involved. We do have a change at the front though, Peter, and Harley has made the move stick. He's got the inside line into Fraser Smith, but as you mentioned just a moment ago, Aero Knob also waiting in the wings here and looking to get involved. But with a few laps left to go in the opener, I suspect the order at the front is not done just yet.
Well, yeah, we watched enough racing at Knockhill to know that it's certainly not over yet, and let's come back to that in a moment. It looks like Fraser's actually lining Harley up again, but Harley's opened that gap ever so slightly. Oh, but he's dipped a wheel. You can't dip a wheel there because there's a long straight coming up. Is that going to affect the speed that Fraser can get towards the hairpin? Doesn't look like the gap is small enough for a move. Nope, he's not gone for it this time.
Fraser taking a very wide line into Taylor's hairpin as well. They're looking to try and get on the power early by doing that, and almost, I suspect, trying to just make his car look big in the rear view mirror of our race leader as well. But let's take a look at this great battle here. We've got around about 7th place, but there's been drama further ahead. We've got a spinner. It's Jack Eyre. He's got it all wrong at Taylor's hairpin. Let's get a look at the replay.
Yeah, so he's coming down to the hairpin. What does he do? Does he drop a wheel? Does he lock up? Is it just a simple spin? Whatever it is, it's cost him a lot of time. He's just looped it on entry, and that's the second time, I think, that he's made an error this race.
Yeah, it just looks like the back end just managed to get away from Jack there in the braking phase. These cars are very prone to doing that. You've got to be very, very delicate with the brake pedal. But look at this, Fraser Smith now back in the lead of this race. 0.2 of a second is the gap from Harley. Fraser, of course, has led quite a few laps in this opener. But it looks like Aero Nom also now looking to get involved, looking to make that move. He's got a very good run. He's got the slipstream into the bargain. Will he throw the 78 car into the outside? He chooses not to, because Harley goes defensive. Harley goes narrow, forcing Aero out wide and defends that position once more. So it's Fraser Smith still leading the way. And as these two cars battle behind him, Fraser is now allowed to pull out that gap, because, Peter, it is now 0.5 of a second between him and Harley.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be enough. We saw what Aero managed to do. In fact, there's been a change again, has there? Yes, there has. They're going side by side through Clark's into Hislops, and there is now definitely a three-way scrap for the lead of this race. Let's keep the cameras focused on here. Is it going to be a three-wide? Yes, it is, briefly. And Harley drops back from 1st to 3rd in a blink of an eye, and Aero into the lead out of Taylor's.
And look at that, great bit of driving from Aero Gnome. He's sat and picked his moment. The white flag's out. This will be the last lap in the opener. Aero Gnome has just been biding his time, waiting to get into this position. He's in the lead of the race, but he's side by side with Fraser Smith. They exchange places almost into the opener of Duffus Diff. And look at that, me. Harley's looking to get involved as well. Fraser Smith back into the lead of this race. Aero and Harley go side by side. Harley goes back into the lead momentarily. There's contact on exit. That pushes Harley wide. Aero Gnome goes into second place. Fraser Smith, all the meanwhile, is setting off into the sunset with a 0.7 of a second gap into the bargain.
Absolutely awesome stuff. Fraser has driven a fantastic race. All three of these have actually, but it won't be Aero's day. He came from a long way back to catch up to these two. But yeah, the big loser here is Harley, who's going for a move. He's having a look. No, he's giving up on that one. That would have been a lunge to end all lunges. Out of the final corner comes Fraser Smith. The number 67 Spec Racer Ford will be the inaugural winner of a broadcast we've seen in iRacing anyway at Knockhill Racing Circuit. There he goes.
Great bit of driving there from Fraser Smith. Worth giving a shout out to this man here, Ronald Grossman, who's had a very eventful race, but brings that car home in P4. But it looks like we could have a couple of drivers exchanging positions here as they make their way across the start-finish line. Tom Jones, though, holds on to a very impressive 5th place finish after starting this race from 20th on the grid. Mark Herring comes across the line in 6th place, also had a very strong race, but what an opener that was here at Knockhill, Peter. Some fantastic drama from start to finish.
Yeah, it's exactly as we expected it, I think. A couple of incidents, you're always going to get that around Knockhill, but again, some really close wheel-to-wheel, nose-to-tail racing, as we always love. And I'm really thrilled that went well, and there's another 2 to come. Bring it on. We'll get the results to you just as soon as we can, as soon as everybody has crossed the line, and we'll run down the order before race 2, which will be another 12-lap thriller. Everybody has finished, so let's grab a look at that order right about now. So it was Fraser Smith who won ahead of Aero Gnome. This is the grid order for the next race. We will start as we've finished. Harley Horton in P3, then it's Ronald Grossman P4, Tom Jones, Mark Herron, Ian Haycox, Ranshi Lin, John Payne, Michael Weddle, Jack Hare and Sean Doby. Some names there who were up and down during the first race, Andy.
Yes, there were. That little trio of Weddle, Ayre and Doby. Again, all regulars in the SMRC eSports. They all know this track very, very well indeed, and worth keeping an eye on here for race number 2. This man, Ryan Smith, also competes here in the Scottish C1 Cup. Another driver worth keeping an eye on, starting in 13th alongside Owen Ross, Bobby West, Paul Jackson, Ian Gibson, Flavio Andallo, who of course started this one from 24th and last. Cameron Richie in 19th, Jorg Manny, Alan McCain, Chris Locker in 22nd, Simon Meyer starts in 23rd, and Tim Vandermelen starts this one from 24th on the grid.
Yeah, as the cars pull away for the second formation lap this evening, I cannot wait for the next one. And Andy, I wonder what's going to happen. Is it going to be a similar situation at the front, or are we going to see some other drivers moving up and down? We've got to keep an eye out on those Rethink Racing drivers who, they're down in the midfield again. Tom Jones currently the highest placed in P5. He's going to want a clean start to try and get away. Maybe fight for a podium on this one.
Potentially, yes, absolutely. And I think if the first race is taught us anything, it's just the importance of keeping your car out of trouble in the first couple of laps. And you've just seen a number of drivers make their way through the order as a result of that. So if you can just get your car up to temperature nice and quickly, get the first lap on the board, then you can really build on that and make your way through the field. But there's lots of opportunities in this track for overtaking and lots of opportunities for drama as well. And I am really looking forward to race number 2.
Here we go then. Approaching the hairpin, following the iRacing safety car, as we head to the start of another 12-lap race at Knockhill International. It's great to say it. I really enjoy saying those words. And here we go this evening in the Spec Racer Scottish Open Race 2 coming up right now. Waiting for the lights to go green. It looks like the top 2 have already put their foot down. They've already run away. And Aero's been dropped. He's got Tom Jones and Harley Horton right behind him. the green flag flies for race 2.
Yeah, good start there from Houghton. He's just managing to. Fraser Smith looked like he was going to get away there from Taylor's hairpin. Definitely put the throttle down very, very quickly. But Fraser Smith still leading the way at the front, 0.2 of a second, going up to 3 or 4 tenths of a second. Because look at that car, number 12. Harley's gone off there on the exit of the chicane. That leaves him vulnerable here into Clark. So Tom Jones looks to make a move. The 24 car almost going side by side on the exit there. Harley managing to hold on to that position, but still coming under attack here as they make their way into Taylor's hairpin. Aero Nom, Tom Jones exchanging places on the entrance to the corner. They go side by side on exit. Tom Jones does have to surrender that position there. In fact, he doesn't, because he's still getting involved in this one. I thought Aero had that one covered, but they're still going side by side, though, because of switchback. Tom Jones started this one on the inside. He's moved over to the outside, and in fact, there's contact between the pair of them on the exit, and further contact midway through the corner as well. The 78 car of Aero Nom bounces from left to right. Further drama in front, though, because the blue car has been very slow on exit. That has just really compromised Aero Nom there. He's gone from bad to worse in a couple of corners for his race, and unfortunately Aero goes tumbling down the order and into 19th place at the moment. Tom Jones, all the meanwhile, staying up there at the front. He is in 4th place, but there is a significant gap now beginning to emerge between him and the front 3. So Tom Jones leading this second little pack here from his Rethink Racing teammate Jack Eyre. Ian Haycox in 6th, Ryan Smith in 7th alongside Michael Weddle. John Payne and Owen Ross rounding out the top 10 at the moment.
Wow, that was a frantic couple of laps. We head on to lap 3. Ronald Grossman sets the fastest lap of the race. He's clearly kept himself out of trouble the best. But yes, a name who tumbled well down the order. Now P16, Aero Nom, didn't have a great start to race 2, as we see drivers there taking plenty of liberties through Duffer's Dip. A few cars off there actually as well, as we continue to follow John Payne, who's about to get swallowed up by Mark Heron. Good move there into the chicane. I like that livery on Mark Heron's car.
Yeah, very nice one. Mark Heron, of course, this time came into a little bit of contact last time out, so we'll keep an eye on any potential damage to that car. Looks relatively unscathed to me at the moment, thankfully for him. But Heron coming under a little bit of pressure now from John Payne there in the yellow 22 car. But there's a stream of cars all behind John Payne, so he does go on the defensive there into Taylor's hairpin, takes a very narrow line on exit just to close the door and hold on to that position. Back at the front though, Fraser Smith still leading the way, but that gap is now over a second for the first time in this event. Let's ride on board with 3rd place man Ronald Grossman making his way out of McIntyre's there. Got a very good exit, but unfortunately, Peter, as we've seen in the earlier on in this race, you can get a good exit there, but it's just not an area where you can make a move. You've got to be patient. You've got a little bit of a chance to make a move into Clark's, but Ronald Grossman, unfortunately for him, still staying in 3rd place in this race. But all the meanwhile, the gap at the front has extended once more. It is now 1.3 seconds that Fraser Smith leads this race, with a third of the second event of the night already gone.
Yeah, we're seeing a familiar story up front. 3 cars dicing it out, and then a bit of a void. And then we have Rethink Racing drivers Tom Jones and Michael Weddle. Michael Weddle's climbed up a little bit in the last few laps. And Jack has tumbled down. So, yep, it's all changed at the top again. More drivers tumbling down the order as we head on to lap 5. So this start to this race has been a little bit more eventful, I'd say, than the previous one.
Yeah, it has been. Michael Weddle starting in 10th up into 5th, so he is a driver with plenty of pace, we know that. But Ian Haycox unfortunately gets it all wrong at McIntyre's on the exit. He goes into the barrier, thankfully doesn't collect anyone else on exit. Chris Locker, Alan McCain making it through safely. We've got a change for 2nd place, so Ronald Grossman, the white car number 90 on the outside, momentarily in the lead, but it looks like Harley's going to have a bite back here into the hairpin. He's got the inside line. He pins Ronald Grossman out wide on exit, and he takes back 2nd place in this race. But all the meanwhile, Fraser Smith is just running off into the distance with a gap of 2.3 seconds. So it looks like Harley and Ronald are going to scrap once more down the start-finish lane. Ronald Grossman not going to throw the car up the inside into Duffy's Dip. So he just sits there to bide his time at the moment as we reach the halfway point in this race. But great action once more all the way through the pack. But it's Fraser Smith still leading the way at the front.
Yeah, Ronald Grossman's nose was right under the rear of Harley. It was risky doing that sort of speed towards Duffer's Dip, but helping him out maybe and not going for a move as Michael Weddle makes a move on his teammate into the Clark's corner. And he moves his number 7 Spec Racer forward past Tom Jones. But looks like he's going to have a fight back. Is he? No. He's let Michael go.
Yeah, good action between the two of them. Just further back as well, though, Bobby West, the number 89 card, coming under a little bit of pressure from Ryan Smith. In the 94, Ryan, of course, knows this track very well indeed. He's got plenty of experience around Knockhill in the real world. A very, very quick driver. And he's got a good run there down the start-finish straight, but just decides to sit in the slipstream as they make their way down Duffus Dip. And it's a good bit of action here between all three cars there. Let's take a look further behind. We've got the recovering Aero Nom, who of course had a little bit of drama earlier on in this race. Currently in 9th at the moment. He's got Chris Locker, though, putting him under a little bit of pressure here as they make their way over the chicane and into Clark Corner. But Aero Nom just managing to hold on to 9th place at the moment. Chris Locker a little bit wide there on exit, Peter, so that could just cost him down the straight here and into the hairpin, but Aero Nom just managing to cover off any possible threat into the hairpin and holding on to 9th place at the moment.
Yeah, this event is so interesting because we've got a lot of Knockhill regulars and a lot of SRF, Spec Racer Ford regulars, all in the same place, and it's kind of a mixture of experience, really, Andy, and really interesting to see how this is working out. We've got Chris Lockett and Aero Nom fighting in the middle of the pack at the moment, trying to get through some drivers who know this track so well and know how to defend so well, as we see Ryan spinning it between McIntyre's and Butcher's, and that's going to be a long wait in the gravel.
It is, unfortunately, for the 94 car. Ryan's just a little bit of contact there into McIntyre's, and it's a tricky gravel trap in there as well, because you've got the bump in the hill just ahead of you into the chicane, and it could take a long time just to get that car back onto the road. But crucially for him as well, there's lots of cars there, a big steady stream looking to make their way past, so he's just got to be patient, and unfortunately goes down into 21st in this race. Just further up the road though, Cameron Richie in the 41 car, just locking up in fact there on the exit of Taylor's hairpin, so just loses the position to Tim Vandermelen, who of course started this race from the back of the grid, so he's having a good race so far, and it moves up into 16th place. He's got Jack Hare a couple of seconds up the road from him. Let's take a look just slightly further ahead though. Chris Locker just unfortunately going wide at McIntyre's. So Aero Nom managing to pull off a little bit of a gap and put the pressure on the 22 car of John Payne. So the yellow car of John Payne just looking to try and secure 7th place. Bobby West a couple of seconds up the road, but look at that. That's a very good run, Peter, that Aero has got down the straight. Will he throw the car up the inside? He does indeed. He commits early and he gets that move done into Taylor's hairpin and moves up into 7th place in this race.
Excellent stuff, as we have 3 laps to go. Lap 10 now of 12 in race 2, and these 3 are glued together nose to tail. Again, some more bumping going on. John Payne pushing Aero Nom around this track. He doesn't want to go for the move. He probably knows that Aero is a bit fast in this car and decides to push him along to stop the attack of Chris Locker behind, who has a good run as well.
Yeah, good bit of driving there from John Payne there, just sensible driving as also. He's just got to deal with the threat behind here from Chris Locker, because he's got an excellent run out the chicane but decides not to make a move into Clark. So Chris Locker just biding his time at the moment, but once more gets a very good run on exit. So will he perhaps throw the car up the inside into Taylor's hairpin? John Payne deciding not to defend it. He thinks he's got enough about him just to fend off that threat. He goes a little bit wide, in fact, taking a very, very wide run into the corner. Gets a little bit messy on exit as well. That yellow car just weaving on the start-finish line, just with the rear of the car getting a little bit loose. But Chris just not close enough to make a move, unfortunately for him. And all the meanwhile, that's allowing Aero Nom just to focus on the track ahead of him and just put the fast laps on the board.
Yeah, up at front we have Fraser Smith in the lead by 1.6 seconds ahead of Harley Halton. Then a further gap back to Ronald, who is dropping back at a rate of knots here. He might have some damage, or maybe he's made a few errors, because 4 seconds, that gap was not that big a few moments ago. Michael Weddle, I don't know what he's going to manage in 2 laps. We know he's fast, but is he 5 seconds a lap fast, or 5 seconds over 2 laps fast? We'll find out against Ronald Grossman. Tom Jones coming under a bit of threat here from Bobby West. into Taylor's. Bobby with a better line. Tom going defensive already as he heads down the start-finish straight. We could see a change of position here into Duffer's Dip as they come across side by side across start-finish. Bobby's got a fantastic run on the outside. Will Tom stick his nose on the inside? Yes, he will, Andy, and he keeps that position.
Good bit of brave driving from Tom Jones there. It could be easy to surrender that position. Yes, Bobby's on the outside, but he had the momentum with him. And of course, that's good defensive driving because this is the last lap of this race. So Tom Jones managing to hold on to 5th place at the moment. He's got a very good line out the chicane, and that looks like he's going to cover off any potential threat into Clark's. But let's take a look back at the front though, because Fraser Smith makes his way round the hairpin for the final time. It's been a commanding race from start to finish from the 67 car, and Fraser Smith crosses the start-finish line to take the win in race number 2 here tonight. Harley comes home in 2nd place with Ronald Grossman rounding out the podium. Michael Weddle in 4th place. Good drive from the Rethink Racing driver. His teammate Tom Jones side by side once more across the line for Bobby Race. Great action between the pair of them, but Tom Jones just pips the 89 car and holds on to 5th place. Some fantastic driving once more here at Knockhill, and we've got one more, of course, still to come, and I am very much looking forward to see what that has in store for us.
Absolutely. The feature race coming up in a few minutes' time, 15 laps around Knockhill, and that will draw to a close the Spec Racer Scottish Open. But my, we've had some racing here today, and one driver at the front has stood out more than the others, Andy. We have it's a reverse grid race 3 we have here as well, so that's going to make things very interesting.
Yeah, Fraser Smith has been very impressive throughout, making 2 wins from 2, and he'll be very keen to make it a clean sweep here tonight. Very, very clean, solid, but crucially consistent racing that we've seen from that car, and that's the key thing around this track, Peter. It's all about being consistent. It's such a fast lap here, and it's just about apexes and exits, keeping the car nice and steady. It's a very bumpy track as well, of course, but you can make up a lot of time by being brave across the curbs. And Fraser has been driving that Spec Racer Ford very, very well so far tonight. But he'll be keen to go one step further in the finale because, of course, race number 3 is winner takes all, and Fraser will be keen to ensure that he does just that.
Yeah, we are going to be gridding up for race 3 in just a moment's time. We'll have another formation lap around the 2-mile Knockhill racetrack. Let's have a look at that on the screen once again. It is a fantastic track if you've not seen it before. It was just released in the iRacing service. And there we are. We have a 15-lap race coming up with a rolling start in just a moment's time. Yeah, Andy, it's been an absolutely super event. We're really grateful for Yuanxi Lin for inviting us along to this.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic event here. It's a very, very strong Spec Racer Ford community that we have in iRacing. Lots of drivers are a fan of this car. Of course, it's a car that's just had a number of updates over the last few months. To bring it into the 3rd generation model. So it's now a 1.6 litre, 135 brake horsepower engine, 6-speed sequential gearbox as well. So we're looking at top speeds of 150 miles an hour. And it's a car that's a real handful and very difficult to master as well. But very great combination that we've got here. Not killing this car. It's produced some great action, and I'm looking forward to going around one more time here tonight.
Yeah, so we have Fraser Smith leading the way ahead of Harley Horton. Ronald Grossman there in 3rd place. Michael Weddle P4. Tom Jones alongside Bobby West. Aero Nom, then John Payne. Chris Locker, Mark Heron, Ian Haycox, and Yuanxi Lin rounding out the top 12.
It's Jack Hare, followed by Simon Mayer, Tim Vandermelen, Flavio Andallo, Ian Gibson, Cameron Richie, Ryan Smith, Owen Ross in 20th, Paul Jackson alongside Alan Kane, and then it's Sean Dobie and Jorig Manny in 24th place.
Race 3 of 3, 15 laps this time. That could shake things up at the front. That will give some drivers more opportunities to catch up to any battles that are happening at the front. But obviously, 15 laps, there's more room for things to go wrong. So it's a double-edged sword. But 3 extra laps can make all the difference in a race around here. And we can't wait to see how this goes. 1 corner to go before the lights will go green. And the iRacing safety car will pull into the pit lane here. Around the final corner comes Fraser Smith, and he will have Harley Horton alongside him once more. And we wait for that light to go green. A lot of the drivers dumped the throttle early last time, and it looks like they've done it again. Yes, they have. And Fraser's got a good launch, and Aeronom is coming with him, with Ronald Grossman there too.
Yeah, Horton just got caught out there ever so slightly, I suspect, just a little bit slower on the throttle because he's now side by side into McIntyre's drama further behind. We've got at least one car off, and that is Bobby West, who's tumbling down the order. And Tom Jones also been compromised. That's unfortunate for Tom Jones because he's had an impressive 2 races so far. But of course, this is the winner takes all finale, and it's Fraser Smith leading the way once more. It's a familiar story at the front. Ronald Grossman, meanwhile, leapfrogs Harley Horton into second place in this race. So Michael Weddle remaining in 4th place, Aeronom in 5th as they all go into the hairpin for the first time of asking further behind. Mark Herron in 8th place, looking to put a bit of pressure on the yellow 22 car of John Payne. And in fact, he's got it wrong. Mark Herron is just the rear of the car's got away from him on the exit of the hairpin. He's just unfortunately sent that car wide, and he goes tumbling down the order. Back at the front though, Fraser Smith still leading the way. 0.2 of a second is the gap between him and Ronald Grossman. We've got a train of 5 cars all in contention to win the finale here, Peter, and Fraser Smith once more is getting that chicane hooked up perfectly, it must be said, and in fact extends the grid. But look at that further behind, it looks like the 64 of Chris Locker has just got it all wrong on the exit. So John Payne sneaks in to 6th place in this race. Side-by-side action further back between Ryan Smith and Jack Hare, 2 drivers that know each other very well. They compete in the C1 Cup together in real life. They go side-by-side here down the straight and into the hairpin. Ryan Smith on the outside in the yellow car, Jack Hare on the inside into the hairpin. So Jack Hare will take 9th place in this race. Further behind, more drama behind. Look at that there. We've got the 20 car of Tim Vandermelen, who's had a very strong couple of laps here and looking to make further progress. Peter, look at that. We're already 3 laps gone in this one, and it has been great drama once more here at Knockhill.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to breathe in the commentary box. Fraser Smith, he gets a chance to breathe, but only just. He's managed to open a gap of 7 tenths of a second now over Harley Horton, who did have his mirrors full of Ronald Grossman. But Ronald now has to look out for Michael Weddle, and that is not a sight you want in your rearview mirrors around Knockhill, is it?
No, absolutely, and it's music to the ears of Horton because it allows him to focus on our race leader, Fraser Smith. Ronald Grossman, car number 90, the white and orange car, they're coming under a bit of pressure from the Rethink Racing man, Michael Weddle, car number 7. Very, very quick driver in the real world and on sim, but Aeronom looking to try and reel both of them in here if they can. Let's take a look at Michael Weddle here closing in on Ronald Grossman, just not quite close enough, unfortunately, to make a move into Duffus. So Michael Weddle just having to bide his time here in 4th place in this one, but in a very strong position, I suspect, because he is closing that gap down corner by corner onto Ronald Grossman. Ronald going taking a lot of the curb there on the exit of the chicane. Gets a little bit loose there into Clarkson as well. The front of the car just weaving left and right. We've got to change it lead though momentarily. It looks like Horton goes side by side with Fraser Smith, and then indeed Ronald Grossman getting involved as well. Grossman momentarily goes into 2nd place, but he's on the outside, of course. We've got 5 cars all looking to make a move into the hairpin. Fraser Smith still leading the way. A little bit of contact by the looks of it there on exit. Michael Weddle, car number 7, got a fantastic drive on exit there. He's looking to get into the mix here as well. We've got, look at this, we've got 2 groups here, side by side. Fantastic race. And look how narrow Fraser Smith goes in the 67 car to try and prevent the 2 cars behind him from throwing the car up the side. 3 wide on the exit of Duffus Dip. They go into McIntyre's. Aeronom goes into 3rd place in this race. Michael Weddle, Ronald Grossman side by side on exit and up into the chicane. Weddle into 4th, Ronald Grossman down into 5th place. Great action here at Knockhill.
Oh, that was absolutely fantastic. Fraser must be breathing a sigh of relief almost there. He made a mistake, obviously, because Harley Horton was all over him and brought everybody else into the mix. And somehow these 2 have managed to stay in the lead. Aeronom, the big winner, he is up to 3rd place. He's got a podium, provisional podium at the moment. But yeah, Ronald Grossman dropping down to 5th. Ryan Smith is close to the back of Ian Haycox. And in fact, he's made the move and he's been a bit cheeky there. He's pushed him off onto the gravel, but all's fair in racing, I guess. But there we are. Ian Haycox dropping down now into P8 after that.
Yeah, great action there. Got to change it lead again. Look at that, Aeronom into the lead because there's been an incident at the front. Houghton is going tumbling down the order and into fourth place. Ronald Grossman into third. Michael Weddle into second place in this race. Let's take a look at the replay and find out what happened.
Yeah,
look
you got it all
Fraser
wrong.
Smith. Oh,
yeah. Goodness me. Yeah, you got it all wrong going into Duffer's Dip, and that is going to be the end of his race, and maybe the end of Harley Houghton's charge towards the front, Andy.
Yes, it could well be. Houghton into fourth place at the moment. Aeronom started this one in seventh place and up into the lead, but 0.4 of a second behind is Michael Weddle. In fact, Weddle just dropped back ever so slightly on the exit of the hairpin because Ronald Grossman is putting him under a lot of pressure. That's really disappointing for Fraser Smith. Unfortunately for him, the car's just got very, very loose on the downhill part of Duffy's Dip, and there's not a lot he could have done at that point. All the cars there just using a little bit of the pit lane extra to really maximise the turning point into Duffy's Dip. Aeronom leading this race here and in the prime position to take the overall event win. Michael Weddle looking to try and have something to say about that because 0.2 of a second is now the gap here. He's got a very good run there as they make their way into Clark's corner. Michael Weddle is a master at just biding his time. He does this so much. He just bides his time and then strikes towards the end of the race. So let's see if he will do just that here in this finale. Because he's got Aeronom just where he wants him at the moment, but Ronald Grossman just dropping back ever so slightly as well. We're at the halfway point in this race, so let's see if Ronald Grossman and Michael Weddle, will they perhaps, Peter, controversial here, but will they perhaps work together a little bit, try and get Harley Houghton out of contention, and then they can both set about trying to get the win from Aeronom?
I know these guys very well, Ronald and Mikey. They're not going to be working together, Andy, unfortunately. They're going to be going for blood, especially Michael Weddle.
Well, Michael Weddle certainly getting a move on here because he's got a great run just onto the back of Aeronom there, just keeping Aero under a little bit of pressure. Good run out the exit of Clark Corner. Let's see if he can take that momentum with him into the hairpin. But again, look, Michael Weddle just throwing the car momentarily off the racing line just to get Aero to look into his rear view mirrors. But all the meanwhile, Ronald Grossman and indeed the number 12 of Harley Houghton both waiting in the wings. Ryan Smith unfortunately has had a little bit of a moment, so he's gone down the order. But look at this back at the front though, Aeronom now. Michael Weddle's making his move. They're side by side into Duffy's Dip. Michael Weddle side by side once more. They almost touch on exit, but Michael Weddle makes the move stick, goes into the lead of this race, and we've got Aeronom just taking a little bit of the curb there, gotten the car very, very loose on exit. That's bringing Ronald Grossman into contention here. But look at that, Harley's almost going side by side. There's contact between the pair of them. Off goes Ronald Grossman. He goes spinning off into the wall. He's lost a wheel as well. He is out of this race, and it is all kicking off here in the finale. But Michael Weddle, all the meanwhile, in the lead of this one, but taking a very defensive line into the hairpin from Aeronom. So Weddle will hold on to this position on exit, but he will be perhaps a little bit vulnerable on the start-finish lane because Aeronom's got a very good run on exit there. Michael goes defensive though. Michael takes his car into the middle of the road. He says, if you want to make a move, Aero, you've got to do it the long way. So Aero momentarily goes into the lead of this race, but can he make the move stick in the outside of Duffy? Surely not. He uses a little bit of curb to try and hold that onto that position, but Michael Weddle cements the lead once more into McIntyre's. Great clean action between the pair of them, and there's not a lot of time left in this race, but as things stand, Michael Weddle is in the prime seat to take the overall win, but Aeronom and Harley Houghton both looking to get involved here. Great action at the front at Knockhill.
Yeah, that's what local knowledge does. Local boy Michael Weddle, he knew exactly what to do when he had Aero going for him. He ran it wide through Leslie's, and that gave him the perfect opportunity into the next corner. And he's managed to hold it off for now. But Aero, he's one of the guys we were warned going into this event. He's really handy in the SRF. Mikey's going to have to dig deep to keep this lead.
Yeah, Aero knows this car inside out, and he'll be using every trick in the book to try and put Weddle under pressure here as we go into the final few laps of this race. Weddle's got a gap of about 0.2 of a second. He's just got that car a little bit loose on the entry to McIntyre's. That perhaps might cost him a little bit of time on exit. Of course, this part of the track's not really a passing place, so Weddle can just compose himself and focus on the track ahead of him once more. Weddle is very, very experienced around this Knockhill circuit, and he'll be using that to his full advantage here. But Aeronom now coming under a little bit of pressure from Houghton. And side by side goes the two leaders, though. We could have a change here into the hairpin. Aero momentarily goes in front, but he's on the outside, and there's contact between the pair of them. Off goes Aero. He spins his car on the exit, and Michael Weddle holds on to the lead of this race, but he comes under all sorts of pressure now. And he goes side by side. Weddle on the inside, Houghton on the outside. Weddle doing the same move here into Duffy's Dip every single time, forcing his contender out wide. That gives him the inside lane, crucially, into this corner here. McIntyre's and Weddle once more holds on to the lead of this race.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Aero was, a little bit cheeky going into the hairpin. They came together, and unfortunately, it was Aero who drops back now. But he's in a fight with Jack Eyre, so he's not lost too much time. So he was a little bit lucky, you might say.
Yeah, I've just managed to get the car back up and running nice and quickly, and thankfully there is a good bit of runoff there at the hairpin, so he managed to avoid that car going into the gravel. So Aero still in podium contention here at the moment, but he'll be disappointed to have seen a potential race win disappear. So Michael Weddle still leading away from Harley Houghton, Aero Gnome in third place. Let's take a look back at the front. The Weddle once more going defensive. Time and time again, he's making that, taking that line, but Harley's trying to throw the car almost up the inside there into McIntyre. Thinks better of it and ducks out at the last moment. So Weddle holds on to the lead of this race. A couple of laps to go here at Knockhill. This is the final race of the evening. There's Aero Gnome in third place, coming under a little bit of pressure from Rethink Racing man Jack Eyre in fourth. Jack Eyre, again, another driver who knows this track very, very well indeed. And he's putting Aero Gnome under a little bit of pressure there on the outside now of Clark Corner. Can he? In fact, look at that, we've got a change once more at the front, Peter. We've got Weddle's drop down into second place. We have a change at the front, and it's happened before the hairpin. There it is there. Michael Weddle drops down into second. Can he perhaps make a move into Duffy's Dip here as we go onto the penultimate lap? Weddle gets his nose in front, but he is on the outside into Duffy's Dip. Will he be able to make the move stick? But in fact, he doesn't. Weddle does not make the move stick into Duffy's Dip, unfortunately for him. Harley holds on to the lead of this race, so we've got a great scrap between the pair of them, but Harley is currently the man in front with a gap of 7 seconds now. In fact, it's going over to a second because Weddle is off. Weddle's got it wrong.
Oh, so is Jack.
And unfortunately, he's been collected by Jack Eyre. Jack Eyre has nothing he could do about that one at all. And Jack Eyre just takes that car into the pits. He is out of this race. And all the meanwhile, Ian Haycox goes into third place in this race.
Yeah, well, that came undone very quickly for Michael Weddle there. I wonder if he picked up some damage or something, because he dropped off the back of Harley very, very quickly. Only 1 lap to go then. White flags are out for this man. 3.7 second gap now to Aero Gnome. And yeah, this is turned on its head very quickly. Both Jack Eyre and Michael Weddle out. That promotes Ian Haycox, Tim Vandermelen up to P3 and P4. Michael's still circulating, but look at the front of that car. It's ruined.
Dear, just a case about trying to bring that car home now. Unfortunately for Michael, it's going to be a bit of a recovery drive. He's got the yellow car of John Payne just a couple of seconds down the road, and he will sense an opportunity for fifth place. Ryan Smith coming under a little bit of pressure. Ryan Smith on the outside there. That brings Bobby West up into 7th place in this race. There's got Ryan Smith, Owen Ross, and Wan Chi Lin currently rounding out the top 10. 3 cars there, all quite capable of exchanging places. But back at the front, it's that man there. It's been a fantastic drive. A little bit of damage at the front of that car all the same. But Harley Houghton has managed to take the overall win here tonight. Aero Gnome in second place, and Ian Haycox will round out the final step of the podium here at Knockhill. Great drama in the finale and some big talking points as well.
Absolutely. We've still got some finishing action happening. Ryan Smith side by side across the line, but I think Bobby Smith just got it. Did he? No, did he? We'll have to defer to the timesheets. It looks like Ryan got it by 0.02 of a second up the line.
Fantastic driving throughout. This is it. It's all what you see this time and time again in the real world. If you can just really pin your exit out of the hairpin, you can potentially make a move stick. And great bit of action there at the end of this race. Cameron Richie just coming across the line in 15th place, and got Tom Jones just behind there in the 24 car. You'll see a number of the drivers just going off the track here. That's because we've got a little bit of a demolition derby here for a few laps, as the drivers can just have a little bit of fun here around this Knockhill circuit.
Yeah, so how would you say the virtual world stacks up against the real world in iRacing?
Well, it definitely produces some fantastic action. I thought that would be the case going into this one. I mean, with it being such a short lap as well, drivers can just exchange places lap after lap, corner after corner. And yes, we had some fantastic action throughout. And yeah, it's been great to watch it, Peter. We thought this was going to be a dramatic event. It's been just that. And yeah, it's been great to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So the feature race won by Harley Horton. Aeronom has to settle for P2. Ian Haycock's P3. Tim Vandermelen P4. Michael Weddle, after looking like he could win, settles for P5 in the end. Jack Eyre, DNF, was around that area, but unfortunately on the penultimate lap came into trouble with his teammate. John Payne finishes P6. Bobby West P7. Ryan Smith P8. Our host, Yuanshi Lin, P9, Owen Ross, P10, Mark Heron, P11, Ian Gibson, P12, Paul Jackson, Sean Doby, J. Cameron Richie, Tom Jones, Fraser Smith, and Alan McCain round out the top 18. Then further down on our list, there's Jack Eyre, P19. Ronald Grossman finishes in P20. Again, unlucky. Chris Locker, he was a driver who was out fairly early in this race, P21. Simon Mayer, P22. Flavio Andalo, P23. And Jorg Manni, out very early, 15 laps in fact, in P24 and last in this event. Andy, we're going to get some driver interviews lined up very shortly. It looks like we have Yuanshi Lin waiting in the wings, as well as Fraser Smith. So very keen to hear from all those guys. So yes, we'll take a very quick break and we'll be back with driver interviews in just a couple of moments' time. So let's get some drivers in. Who should we talk to first, Andy?
Well, I think I have to speak to our overall event winner first and foremost. Fantastic action at the front, but let's hear what Harley's got to say.
Let's have a look for Harley. Harley, congratulations. Welcome to the commentary box. Fantastic 3 races here at Knockhill. Give us your thoughts, especially on that final race win there.
And I mean, the final race was sort of a race of attrition in the end because this track is just so hard with this car. But yeah, it was amazing, the whole thing.
Brilliant. You're very experienced in the Spec Racer Ford. What's it like around Knockhill?
It's sort of unlike any other track, especially with the curbs. You know, in turn 1 and the chicane, you have to really compromise the setup to get it to actually go over them. Like we've done a fair bit with the setup because it was just undrivable at the start. But yeah, it's great.
And Harley, you've got a good bit of real-world experience as well under your belt. Tell us a little bit about that and how your season's gone.
Yeah, I raced in the Ginetta GT5 Challenge. It was my first year in cars this year, finishing 6th in the Pro Championship. So we're hoping to go better next year. But yeah, it's been great to race in the real world, and I mean the sim definitely helps. Yeah, it's been a real help on our racing. So yeah, it's been great.
Definitely, and we hear lots of drivers, Harley, speak about the importance of sim racing now. And how beneficial do you find it as a driver in terms of just being able to get a little bit of practice in and just really hone your racecraft and just hone your consistency around circuits?
Yeah, well, obviously the car I drive is not in iRacing, but that's not really what you want to use it for. It's more racecraft, you know, endurance stuff, concentration. It's the next best thing to being on the track. So even if you're not in the exact equipment you're going to be driving, it's still a big help.
No, definitely. And you got any? Can you tell us anything about your plans for next year and what we can expect from you?
Hoping to race again in the GT5 challenge, hoping to win
Last
it.
one for me.
At the moment, we're still looking for sponsorship and partners, but yeah, if we manage to get the right partners, we can surely go for the win. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Harley. Well, best of luck with your next season. All the best for that. And yeah, thanks for putting on a nice evening of entertainment for us here at Knockhill in iRacing.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was great.
Thanks a lot. Andy, who should we talk to next? Should we talk to Fraser Smith?
Yes, Fraser Smith would be great. I'd be very keen to get his thoughts because, of course, Fraser Smith won the first couple of races here tonight. But Fraser, just talk us through that one. Lots of drama throughout and in the last race, of course, in particular.
Yeah, that was good. So obviously Harley, who won, he's my teammate, so I'm glad to see that. That's all good. First time we both raced the car, so we just did the practice and tried to get a hang of it. And it was we were trying to play nice in the first race and then started battling, but it was good. It was fun. I'm just a bit gutted.
Of course, Fraser, it's a car that can take some getting used to. It's very, very. It's got its own characteristics, shall we say, under braking. Lots of drivers can find it quite challenging initially. How did you manage to cope with that?
Well, yeah, I got the hang of it, like in the sense that it must be the way the diff's set up. When you're off throttle and braking, you can lose the rear really easily. So if you've got a bit of power on, you can kind of save that and just focus on the exits more. But once we got the hang of it, it was really good, fun racing.
And what's your thoughts on this new Knockhill circuit and iRacing? What do you make of it so far?
It's insane, mini Nürburgring, I would call it.
No, definitely. It's been a track that seems to be very popular so far, and it's produced some fantastic action here tonight, hasn't it?
It's been great, yeah. So the organizer was just saying there's another one of these on Sunday apparently, so I'll be there, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're hearing of plenty of events that are going to be organised at Knockhill, so keep your ears to the ground for those. And yeah, we're very thankful for Jan Schief putting this on for us. We'll have a word with him as well. So thank you, Fraser, for putting that on, and congrats on some good results. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out in the final race.
Cheers, guys. Looking forward to watching that back.
Well, we hope you enjoy it. See you later. Let's hear from the organizer very quickly. Let's hear from Wan Shi. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you had an up and down race in race 3, but some promising results. How did you feel the event went?
Oh man, it was a really crazy event. It's just cars literally everywhere on the circuit. I never thought that 24 people is going to come. Like basically everyone who signed up attended the event. Really happy with that.
No, definitely. And what we've seen as well is just lots of great drama in this car as well. It's been a fantastic combination. Been a great track, a great car, and we've had 3 fantastic races here tonight.
Yes, indeed.
So the Spec Racer Ford. We've asked the other guys this. What do you make of it around the Knockhill track? Is it how does it compare to other tracks that you've driven it at in iRacing?
I'll say this is probably one of the toughest track I've driven on this car. It's because you can't adjust springs on this car, and it's just bottoming out on every curve. And with it being open differential, I'm having a lot of inside wheel spin on the hairpin. You have to have a really good run out of the hairpin, not just into the hairpin.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one as well where we're seeing, I think when drivers perhaps get behind the wheel of this car for the first time, it's a very distinctive car. It's got lots of different, it's got a very different braking style, of course, but it handles quite differently. But once you get used to it, once you get a little bit of seat time in this car, it can be very, very rewarding to drive.
Yes, indeed. That's why there's more a specific community for this car. Although it being a rookie car, I think the characteristic of this car is a little bit too hard for new drivers. The drivers that stayed, they just form a community in the end. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming, and thank you guys for commentating this event. It has been great.
Well, thank you for having us along. We had fun watching it. We had fun commentating and seeing racing at Knockhill, a track that's close to our hearts. So thank you for that. We'll grab a few interviews with the last remaining drivers in the waiting room. But thank you, Yuan Lin, and have a good one.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a word with Tom Jones. He had a fantastic few races. Tom, talk us through it. You had some pretty great racing. Have you had much experience in the Spec Racer Ford before today?
No, I did a little bit of practice in it yesterday, and I did maybe a race or two in it a couple of years ago. But that's it.
And Tom, the first couple of races, of course, in particular, 2 fifth-place finishes as well, and things didn't quite go to plan in the finale, but it's been some great actions throughout, and we've certainly enjoyed watching it. But it must have been great being out there behind the wheel.
Yeah, it really was. I have to say, qualifying was just disastrous. I got that 20th place, and I didn't really. I thought, okay, I'm just going to be driving around at the back here, and then on the first lap, just getting down into turn one, I got through turn one, looked at my relative to see that I was in amongst people who were low teens, and there was some single digits in there. So I have to say, I was so confused what was going on, and then just to get into fourth at one point in that race I had no idea what was going on. From that point on, I was just there like, okay, just drive at 95% and don't spin it. That's all you got to do now.
And it's one of those tracks as well, of course, Knockhill, where it's all about consistency, Tom. It's all about just, if you can keep that car out of trouble and just make your way up the order, you can really find yourself in a strong position. You did just that, and some very strong driving throughout. But Tom, tell us a little bit about what's next for you. What have you got kind of planned in the world of sim racing?
I don't really have too many races planned up. I've entered the SMRC series, which is starting, I think it's next week or the week after. I can't quite remember, but that's the next series that I'm planning to do. Other than that, I'm just going to really take it as it comes and just see what's available to me.
Fantastic, Tom. Well, I'm sure you're happy with the outcome of this event, and we certainly enjoyed watching it. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much, guys.
Let's have a word with the Knockhill regulars. Should we bring them in together? That might be quite entertaining, might it, Andy?
I think so. Yeah, that would be good.
We thought we'd bring you boys in together. Jack and Michael, welcome to the commentary box.
I would say it's a pleasure, but I feel awkward being here after that.
It was a pleasure until you moved Mike into this room as well. Hey, guys.
Hi, Jack. So we better start with that incident in race 3. Talk us through it.
Go on,
Which
Mike,
one?
what happened, mate?
Which one?
The first one, where you were in my way and I was not sideways at all when I hit you.
Well, Jack just lost control. That's that incident.
That is true, but he was also out of control, waiting for me.
Well, I put an incident up on the stream. Mikey, you've just gone off at the top of the chicane, and we're about to see a car enter very sideways. Jack, what happened here?
I was going for the most slip angle I could. Just didn't work. No, I think I took a bit too much curb on the left, in all honesty, and very easy to unsettle this car. Not very easy to get it back in a straight line once it does go over the limit, but yeah, just unfortunate, really.
Yeah, you two have driven this track in real life, Andy. A question of that ilk?
Yes, definitely. Jack, just starting with yourself, of course, you made your real world debut here at Knockhill in the Scottish C1 Cup. Michael, of course, you've our Mini Cooper Cup champion. How important or how beneficial, Ronald, do you find your experience in the real world translating over to the sim? And do you think that will indeed be more beneficial for you for your real world driving moving forward as well, because you've got a fantastic version of this track at your fingertips?
Yeah, it's well, to go from real life back onto the sim it's literally as though I'm there again. They really nailed it with the scan on this. I'm sure you'll agree as well. It's literally like being in iRacing VR as well. So the depth perception, it genuinely, I'm so immersed that sometimes I want to, drive into the paddock and get out. But I can't, but it's great. It's great. Yeah, the knowledge that I bring to the sim race, already racing here, meant that I just got on the pace a little bit easier. I still think after a certain amount of time, regardless of the experience you've got, if you put the time in, you're gonna you're going to get faster. So I just arrived at where I thought my pace was earlier because of that experience. But yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, basically what Jack said it does. It's quite weird after doing countless number of laps in real life to actually start doing it in a sim. How bang on they've actually got this. So it's quite good. I think I'll be doing quite a few laps over the winter to get myself ready for next year.
And Michael, sometimes when we see circuits where perhaps you've got a little bit of experience in the real world, when it moves over to sim, sometimes you might have to drive it slightly differently just because of the quirks of how the track's transferred onto the particular platform. But this Knockhill circuit, a number of drivers have been very complimentary about it. It is a very, very great version that we have here on iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to be you have to alter your driving to the car that you're driving because the chicane is pretty deadly if it's not got proper soft suspension. So in the Spec Racer, for example, you can't really take much of that less curb. But if you're driving something like the Jetta, you can say goodbye to the bollards and just launch it over the curbs and fly over. So it is a bit like real life in that instance where, you don't see the touring cars taking much of that left curb, but they just go all over the right curb and it's translating to the TCR. It's probably the closest thing you get to a touring car as well. So, they've done really well with this job as well. So it's quite good, actually.
Excellent stuff. Thank you guys for joining us for this one. We hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Jack and Mikey, thanks for your time.
Thank you, boys.
Cheers,
All
guys.
the best.
Jack Eyre and Michael Weddle there. Andy, it's been a heck of an event. I've enjoyed it massively, and we hope all of our viewers have too. That's almost all we have time for here. So we hope everybody enjoyed themselves, and we hope that we see you on the next one. From all of us here at Sim Broadcast, it's been a fantastic evening of racing put on for us by Wanshi Lin. And Andy, any parting words?
No, it's just been a fantastic 3 races here tonight. We thought that was going to be the case going into it. That has absolutely proved to be true. It's been great drama throughout. It's been fantastic to be a part of it, and I hope you've certainly enjoyed the action as much as we have here at Sim Broadcast. It's been 3 great races here at Knockhill.
Thank you very much for joining me, Andy. It's been a pleasure, and thanks again for tuning in to the Spec Racer Scottish Open in iRacing on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks again to our organiser, Yuanchi Lin, and from all of us here, to all of you, have a great evening, and we'll see you at the next one. Good night.